Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the forbidden sales in the Hanbali school. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, salatu wassalam ala Rasulil Kareem, Rabbana taqabbal minna, zidna ilma. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, abduka wa rasuluka, nabiyyil ummi, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslima. A'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyati a'malina. Allahumma atina nufusina taqwaha wa zakkiha. Anta khairu man zakat wa waliyuha wa mawlaha. Allahumma hamd shukana. All the praises belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything happens in the world. Allah made this world and Allah made the akhirah. There's a Rabbul Alameen, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the praises belong to Him. And may Allah's blessing be upon His final prophet and messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and peace be upon him. And he's the example that we follow. Try not to follow new things and innovative things, but to follow the example of Allah's prophet and messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we're continuing on from Imam al-Sunnah, Ahmad Ibn Hanbal, who gives the rulings based on the hadith narrations and the things that they continue on from the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is the explanation given by Ibn Qudamah in the book Al-Umda, which is a summary of the rulings. And we're on the chapter on the forbidden sales. So there's some things that are forbidden when they do the sales transactions according to the hadiths from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you would like to read the first one from Faisal?
Yes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. في البيوع منهى عنها. On the sales that are forbidden. يقول المؤلف رحمه الله ونفعنا به ونهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الملامسة وهي أن يقال أو أن يقول أي ثوب لمسته فهو لك بكذا.
Yes. So this type of sale was forbidden. This was done in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He forbade that. And what would happen is a person, if they wanted to buy some clothing, what they would do is they would just touch the clothing on the top without looking at it to see how it looked like. And then the person, they would agree to buy it from the seller. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade that. And because what happened is a person, they might expect the clothing to be on a particular fabric or particular design or particular color, things like that. But he didn't see it. He just touched it. And that's not sufficient to know what type of clothing it is. So a person, they might be disappointed if they did that. And another way that the people used to do this is like when it was dark out, dark at night, and that's also forbidden, for a person that didn't see the clothing because it's too dark and they don't know what it looks like. Then if the person, they purchased the clothing and afterwards, then the person, they would be disappointed because maybe the person didn't have the design that he wanted, or color that he wanted. And the thing to bear in mind is that in Islam, when people, they buy and sell, people, they're dealing with their Muslim brothers and sisters, so they always have to be good to them and nice to them, even when selling them things. And when people, they sell them things, they have to try to, do the things that are best for their Muslim brothers and sisters, even though they're selling something to them. So that's the thing to bear in mind. They don't want to give something to somebody that they dislike. And so that's why this type of sale was forbidden. Mulamasa is called.
So they would wear a blindfold and just touch it like that?
They wouldn't see what it looked like.
Or it's like a grab bag. They stick their hand in and they just pull whatever one they pull out. That's
just touching it without looking at what it looked like. It might have been underneath a cloth, or but mulamasa means just touching it without seeing what it looked like.
So it's like gambling. You might get a good one, you might not get a good one.
No, it might not be what a person they expected it to be. Then we got it home and then he looked at what it looked like. It's completely different than what the person expected from. That's the thing.
Kind of similar to buying online, because sometimes when you buy clothes from online, it's smaller or bigger, or something like that.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things I would say about that. Okay, Chalo. Okay, the thing is, when you buy things online, it is what you do see it, like on the picture. So it's not like, just mulamasa where you don't see it. So that's one of the things that are there. The second thing is that people, when they sell it online, they usually have a return policy. So if you don't want to, just give it back. So there's no harm is done, But over here, when you have, in the old days, when people, they used to do things, there's no return policy. Once people, they left, that's it. You can't go back and say, I want to return this. They didn't do those things. That's the second thing that they have. So they have that nowadays. That's the issue that you have. That's the second thing that you have nowadays. Third thing nowadays that people over here in America, they're very smart. They know how to do business. Unfortunately, some people are ignorant on how to do the business because what they do is they think that they're going to sell something one time and make a profit, and then they're well off. But the people here in America, they realize that that's not the case. What it is a person, they get devout customers. That's how they increase their business. They get a customer and a person, they like the product and they keep coming again. They'll keep coming over and over and over thousands of times in the future, and their business grows. Not just have one customer and make a few dollars, make $1 extra, and then the customer says goodbye. I'll never going to buy from you again. So people that are smart, they realize that, and that's really the reality. If a person, they have loyalty to their business, that's really how a business flourishes. It's not just on the one sale, and then the person, they make an extra dollar, and the customer gets mad, and then never comes again. But
So this is like this is based on gharar, right? Gharar means like you don't know what you're buying.
Well, the thing is, afterwards, a person, they might get into a dispute because the gharar means one person expected one thing,
Right.
and then out of ambiguity, it was something else, not what he expected. So that was the case.
Now,
But
was
anyway,
this a real type of sale that existed?
Yes, it was.
They
That's
used to sell
mentioned
like that. Oh, okay.
there. Yes, we're just touching it. So people here that are smart in business, that's what they realize. They say the customer is very important. That's why people, they give things away for free to the customer. You find a lot of times, like, you find like some of these stores, come here, we'll give you this free. So the customers come in there, and that's why they have return policies in the stores, because if they return something, they lost their profit, right? But they always do return satisfaction. So the customer is satisfied and they keep coming again. Otherwise, if the customer is mad, they're never going to come there again. They're going to go somewhere else, that they lost their customer. So that's the thing that people over here, that's how they keep in mind. And online, especially online too. People, they want to keep you as a customer, not lose you as a customer.
I see. So that's
So
from
they try
Islam.
to sell you some good things that the customer likes. Well, in Islam, you do it because it's your Muslim brothers, Muslim brothers and sisters. And you should love for your Muslim brothers and sisters, what you love for yourself. So that's what Islam teaches. And people that did do that, that were honest and they wished the good for other people, they flourished. And even when they went to travel in the different areas in the world, like in the Southeast Asia, they were very honest and they were good people and nice people, and people they bought so many things from them, because of their good adab, the good way that they did the business. All right, inshallah. So if that's the case. No, so the thing is, online, what happens is you can always cancel the transaction, return something. So then you have that issue that's in there. These transactions are over here. Is that once that a person, they pick something up, then after that, that's it. It's over. You can't return the thing. So if they just touched something, brought it home, then they open it and looked at it and, oh, this is so ugly. I don't like this color. This design is so bad. Then that's it. He's stuck with it. Then he'll get mad at the merchant. He said, why did you sell me this? The thing is so awful looking. Then the fights result and things like that. So that's why you find that these things are prohibited from buying things by just touching it, but rather a person, they should look at it, know what it's like, and then purchase it afterwards. So there's no disputes afterwards. Okay, is that clear? The mulamasa, what that is?
No.
Lamas means to touch, and mulamasa is buying something by touching it. Okay, let's go to number 2. Hamza, Sheikh Hamza, read number 2.
وعن المنابذة
Yes.
وهي أن يقول أي ثوب نبذته إلي فهو علي بكذا.
Yes. So that's another thing. That's a person, they don't really see the clothes, or they don't know which one they're getting. They're just saying, whichever one you throw to me, that's the one that you bought. So the person pays for it first. He gives the money first, then the person throws something at the person afterwards. So that's not allowed. That's what Prophet Muhammad said. That's not allowed either, because it's an ambiguity there, and one person might expect one thing, and the other person expects something else, and then there's a dispute that results from it afterwards. So that's the other type that's not allowed. So you have that in you see the basic principles is when a person they buy and sell something, you have to avoid the ghush. The ghush means cheating the person, giving the person something that's defective or not good. And Prophet Muhammad said that's you got to avoid that. And the second thing is to avoid the gharar. Gharar. The gharar means uncertainty or the ambiguity or something that's not certain, because the other person they might expect something and it's uncertain and then will be not what he expected. And so that's the thing to bear in mind. So that's why that's not allowed. Okay, to number 3, Sheikh Omar.
وعن وعن بيع وعن بيع الحصاة وهو أن يقول أرام الحصاد فأي ثوب ف ف وقعت وقعت عليه فهو, and purple cell says, and cloth the purple falls on, is it?
Yes. So this is like a person they would lay out clothes on the ground, like a whole bunch of them. And the person they would take hasa. The hasa is the things on the ground. Back in the old days, they didn't have carpets, they didn't have tile floors, they just had it on the regular ground. And when they had it on the ground, they would all types of pebbles and little rocks and things like that. And so what this is that a buyer would come and say, I want to buy one of these clothes from you. Then he said, give me the money. So he gave the money. So he said, throw this rock over there, or throw this pebble over there. And whichever one it falls on, that's the one that he takes. So that's not allowed. Does that look similar to the gambling that people they do nowadays?
Yeah. Throw the
Yes.
ring in, and wherever the ring lands, that's the one you get.
Right, yes. They have a roulette or something like that, right? The ball rolls and then wherever it falls on, and then you win or lose, So that's exactly like gambling, that you have. That's there. So that's one of the things. And the second thing is the same thing. The person they might not get what he expected. It might fall on something that he didn't want. So that's the reason. So that's something else that's forbidden also for those reasons. That you have that you throw a rock on something, where the rock lands on it, that's the one that you get. So that's like that's not allowed. That's the third type. Okay, Sheikh Omar. All right, and the other thing is, when people that deal with the customers, you don't want to fight with the customer. You want to be nice to the customer because they're your Muslim brothers and sisters. So be good to them. So these things here, all these things, they result in, in the gambling. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. They say, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ الشَّيْطَانَ أَن يُوقِعَ بَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ. The shaitan, he wants to put adawa, animosity with you, with the gambling. So when you have things like this, then what happens? It causes the adawa. It causes the enmity and the hatred between people when they do it. So that's one of the things to bear in mind about that. So you want to avoid that. You want to be do good business with the customer, not things like this. That's mentioned there. Okay, inshallah, let's go to number 4.
بيع الرجل عن بيع أخيه. Sale of a man over the sale of his brother, like undercutting his brother.
Yes. So what happens is people in the old days, they always used to negotiate the prices with the seller. Nowadays, most people, they haven't heard of that unless they're buying something used or something like that. But in the old days, it was always the case. The person, they would go to the seller, and they would negotiate the price. And the seller would offer a price, the buyer would offer a price that he wants to give, and they would negotiate it. So what happens is, if the seller and the buyer, they're both Muslim, and they agree to a price, the buyer says, I'm going to buy this for, like, let's say 100. Then somebody else comes along, and he says, okay, I'll give you 110. Okay, that's not allowed, because you're buying something over your brother, That's not allowed to do that. That's haram to do that, because they already agreed to the transaction. And somebody else comes along and says, I'm going to offer you more, then that's harming your Muslim brother, because the Muslim brother already agreed to buy it for that much, and then you're overcutting him for that.
What about if it's an auction?
Well, I'll talk about that in a second. The other way also is if they're selling something to somebody, a buyer comes, and the seller, he says, I sold you this for 100. Then full on comes, another person comes over, oh, I have the same thing, I'll give it to you for 90. That's not allowed either. No? The both of those are not allowed. You can't do a sale over the sale of your brother. Yeah, that's the case. You got to be good to everybody, right? So it doesn't mean that you got to be do bad to non-Muslims because they're not Muslim. No, so you got to be good to everybody. So this would apply to everybody, inshallah. No? To be good for them, inshallah.
So in this situation, does the seller has the final decision to make which one to go for? Because he's there to make a profit, right?
Yes, the seller has a choice on if he wants to sell it or not. So that's another point that they have. They have mentioned that in other books of fiqh. Let's say the buyer and the seller, they disagree on the price to buy something. Who's the one that makes the decision? The seller, right? Let's say they have a car, right? They say, I want to sell it to you for 10,000. And the other guy says, I buy the car for 5,000. So who's going to be right? The seller. The seller has the right. He's going to sell it to 10,000, take it or leave it. The buyer can't say, no, I buy this for 5,000. That's it, get lost. You can't say that. So the seller has the authority. So that's the case for it. The seller has the authority to decide whether to agree with the transaction or not. The buyer can accept or refuse. Dave, was that what you were saying, or were you still saying something similar?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of similar because we say in this one that you cannot outbid your brother if he already agreed with the price with the seller. So, and then I was asking, like, can the seller then decide who to sell to because he's there to make a profit? Like, normally the seller will go the higher price.
Well, then the seller is continuing on something that's haram, so he shouldn't do that. He shouldn't accept another offer, somebody else. Because you got to try to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though you might get more profit by selling it to the other person, but you don't want to, want to try to keep people to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, so
You should avoid doing that.
It will come down to morality, basically.
Well, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So not think about the profit as no means, but just think about the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the means, inshallah. Inshallah. Because then if he does that, then he breaks the contract with his other brother, and then the seller is doing something wrong, because they already had the contract agreed upon. That he's going to sell it to him for this much. Now he says, no, I don't sell it to you anymore, right? So he broke that contract that he had with the other person. He broke the deal that he had with the other person. So then the seller is doing something wrong by breaking it because he got a better offer, somewhere else. These things also is based on feelings of each other. This is what happens is a Muslim is a brother of a Muslim. If somebody comes and they were going to buy something, and somebody else comes along and upbids him, then the person, they're going to have some dislike to the other person. So that's one of the other issues too that come up. Inshallah. Okay, inshallah. All right, inshallah. Okay, so that's the other thing. A person should not a sale of a man against the sale of his brother. That's not allowed. Okay, now your question is about auction. Is the auction allowed? Yes, I think that would be allowed in that case because that's the rules from the beginning. It's not just one transaction, one person to another. So it's not like the case over here where a person they're going against their brother. It's just the beginning part. Whoever bids the most, then in the end, then the highest bidder gets it after that. But then after that, if somebody comes along and says, "I'm going to give you more," then you can't do that. No, that won't be appropriate.
How about
because I thought about this before too, about the auction, when when you look at these rules in the fiqh, and then the auctioner would be fine because that's the rules from the beginning. It's not it's not like the other one, where a person they agree to a transaction and then breaking it afterwards. Okay, brother, we'll check Omar.
Yeah, I was just saying, how about the, like first come, first serve? Is that allowed or not in the business?
Yes, of course. First come, first serve. Of course, you can do that, inshallah. That's usually how it works. Now, somebody's selling something, and they have a price for it. The first person that comes to buy it, you'll sell it to him, right? If you don't do that, then personally, why aren't you selling it to your brother, the first person there?
Like if somebody make a, like for example, you say, okay, I will stop by the stop maybe sometime tomorrow, inshallah, and grab something from you, and then when you come and then you say, okay, somebody else already come here and buy it, so I don't have it for you. That situation.
Yeah, that's not the sale, because the sale is not complete until the person they paid, and and then
The exchange transaction.
the thing is done. A lot of times these things, people they say it, they're not. It's just in the negotiation stages. It's not. The sale is not done. Yeah, it's also it depends on the situations. Also, here in America it doesn't mean anything. They say that the money talks.
Mm-hmm.
And the yapping doesn't mean anything. That's what they mean over here in America. Maybe in Somalia, where you're from, people they keep to their words, so it's a little bit different over there. But over here, that's the case over here in America.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I used to sell the computer stuff, and people that say I'll come tomorrow, next week,
You never see
you
it.
never hear from them again. So that's the case over here. That's what happens a lot of times. But maybe in Somalia, people they're true to their words. We're gonna buy it. Okay, see you tomorrow. So they come tomorrow. And they never break their word over here. So it depends on the situation. Inshallah. All right, inshallah. Yeah, and the other thing is also in Islam you have the rules. If the two people are still together, then the deal is not done. But once they separate and they agreed on something, then the deal is finalized. So a person they might say, "I give you $10 for something," then they didn't pay him yet, they didn't separate yet. So the person they can change their mind and say, "I'm only gonna give you $8 now." You can do that because it's not done. It's not finalized while they're still together and talking. There's hadith that's mentioned that. Some narrations that mention that. But once they separate and they agreed upon it, then it's finalized. Okay, inshallah. All right, inshallah, let's go to the next one. Imam Faisal, I think number 5.
Wait, you just went.
Oh, okay.
وعن بيع حاضر لباد.
Yes. So what happens is you have the people that live in the city and they're familiar with the prices of things, and then you have people that live in the countryside or far away, and they're ignorant of how much the prices of things that they go. So what happens is if somebody comes in from outside into the market and a person wants to cheat him, he can say something is quite expensive, and the person wouldn't know, and then he would buy it. Like for example, a bottle of water, right? You have a bottle of water, and if I'm over here, then somebody's coming from Mexico over here, for example, and I say this bottle of water costs $20. Then he says, "Okay, here's $20. Give me this bottle of water." That's not allowed to do that. It's haram. So that's what it's talking about. You have people that live within the city, so they know the price of things. If somebody comes from a foreign place,
20 pesos, right?
so they can't take advantage of the ignorance of the person that's coming from outside, and rip the person off by selling the things too much. So that's what that's the point over there.
What if
from resident to an outsider.
What if you take the water and you bring it like right next to the airport or something, and you charge like $3 instead of $1? Can you do that?
If that's the normal price that you have, it's not taking advantage of the ignorance of people.
But in this case, like brother saying, it's a special case, right? It's an airport, so there's no
Yes.
so much option available.
Yes, yes. I mean that's the normal price that goes over there. Normally speaking, it's not taking advantage of the ignorance of people and taking advantage of them. That's the point there. Because people that are not familiar with the market, they don't know what the price of things are, and then a person can easily take advantage of them and and sell things too high of a price, and that's not appropriate. Because bear in mind that what happens, the people that you're selling it to are your Muslim brothers and sisters, so you have to be good to them, not take advantage of their ignorance and sell them something too high of a price.
But like you can charge like decent or reasonable prices.
Yes, you charge a reasonable price. Some of the ulama, they give a percentage-wise of how much above the market price that you can do. Some of the ulama, they mentioned that you can't sell it more than 50% of the market price. That's taking advantage of the person. And some of them, they say 30%. So there are some things like that written in the books of fiqh. Because if you do it more than 50% of the market price, then it seems like it's taking advantage of the buyer, to do it so much.
So for instance, if the bottle of water in the store is like $1, and then at the airport I can sell $1.50 or $2.
Yeah, that's fine, because that's a normal price, and that's not taking advantage of the ignorance of the people at the airport. Let's say that like if you go to the airport, somebody's coming here from France, right? He only has francs, and then you tell the person the bottle of water is like $100 worth of francs, right? You can't do that. That's like cheating the person. Because he doesn't know how much the bottle of water is worth, so he'll pay that. Say, okay, that's how much the bottle of water is. Here, take the money, and you end up paying $100 for a bottle of water. But, that's wrong. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
So that's what the hadith is basically saying. That if a person, they're a resident, and then a foreigner comes, a outsider comes, he's not familiar with the prices, then the person can deceive the person and take advantage of the ignorance of the person, and sell them something way above of what it's worth. Take advantage of the ignorance of the person. That's why it says not for a resident to sell to an outsider.
So the outsider should sell it himself, not through an agent. You shouldn't have an agent.
Well, he should become familiar with what the market price is, and then then know what things are going for, so that he doesn't get cheated, on buying things. Yeah, so nowadays things are a little bit different nowadays also. Nowadays they have, in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was a person, he always, whenever he used to buy things, he used to get cheated.
Yeah.
People used to cheat him, take advantage of him and sell things to him too much. And then he went to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he complained to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, every time I buy something I get cheated, I pay too much for it, they take advantage of me. So what should I do? So then Prophet Muhammad tell him, said, whenever you buy something, make a condition that I can return this, afterwards if I don't want it. And then so that's what he did. So then in the future, if he bought anything and somebody cheated him, then he can return it. That's what Prophet Muhammad told him to do. All right, so is that clear on that? So a resident person should not sell to an outsider, take advantage of his ignorance and sell things to him much higher than the things are worth. Okay, all right, inshallah. Let's go to the next one.
وهو أن يكون له samsara, a resident be a middleman, reseller from him, the outsider.
Okay, inshallah. Okay, inshallah. Okay, this is very interesting. What happens is, people back in the old days, the way that they used to do the trade, they used to go from one city, buy the things from the one city, then transport it to another city and sell the things in the other city in the market in the marketplace in the other city. So what's not allowed is for people to go where the caravan is coming before they reach the market, and then say, I'm going to buy these things from you over here, then before they reach the market, and they know what the market price of things are. And what that is the Sheikh, he mentioned that's like being a middleman to sell something. So he's going to go over there, buy everything, take advantage of the ignorance of the people there because they don't know the market price, buy it much less of the market price, then go to the market and sell it at the market price. So he's like being a middleman, from those people there to the market. Instead of them selling it directly to the market, this person is going to go there and buy things at a much less of a price, then go to the market and sell it to the market at the normal price. So that's what it's saying. That's not allowed.
Like for instance, if I go to overseas and buy clothes or some stuff and I bring it here, is that what it's talking about or no? Like
No, it's taking advantage of the ignorance of the seller.
Say like somebody came from overseas and they had clothes.
Yeah, like
And then you say, I'm gonna sell these clothes for you on your behalf, and you give him a very low price for his goods that he brought, and then you sell it at a high price, you make a lot of money, but you only give him a very low profit. Because he doesn't know, like, say he brought something from overseas, like a clothes, he doesn't know, then you're making a big, huge profit, and you're only giving him a very small profit. So that's not allowed for a local person to be the middleman, the salesman for a farmer. The farmer, he's supposed to come to the town himself and see what the things are selling in the market, and then he gets the fair price for it.
Okay, let me give you another example. People that used to do trade, they used to go to one city like Syria, buy the things from there, then bring it to Mecca and sell it in Mecca. And likewise go to Yemen and buy the things from Yemen and bring it to Mecca, and then sell the things in Mecca at the market in Mecca. So let's say somebody, they went to Syria, for example, and bought sugar, hundreds of pounds of sugar, like maybe a whole bunch of sugar. Then on their way to Mecca, some people, they come before they reach Mecca and say, let me buy this sugar from you. How much? I'll pay $1 a pound for this sugar. They say, okay, I'll give it to you $1 a pound. Fine. So then he buys like so much of the sugar. Then when he reached Mecca, oh, they're selling the sugar for $20 a pound. See what they did? They took advantage of those people there because they didn't know the market price in Mecca, and they sold the stuff that they had too low. Then those people, they got it and they went to the market, sold it $20 a pound, and and they took advantage of those merchants there. So that's not allowed. That's what that's saying. So the person to go and meet the caravan before they reach the market, and take advantage of their ignorance of the market price and buy things too cheap, too low, then go to the market and sell it at the market at the regular market price and make a big profit. That's not allowed. Do you understand that example?
Yes.
Okay, inshallah.
I understand, but like the person though he wants to make a profit, right? Is it this one? He's coming the same market, but you go before he reach the market and you buy from him.
Yes.
Like a lower price.
Right.
And
Too
then
low of
you
a price.
charge it.
Then you go to the market and you sell it at that market.
So this is different from me going overseas, buying clothes and selling here.
No, that's different than that. That's absolutely different from it. No. That's what it says, to be a middleman. That's what it says. That's why he mentioned that, to be a middleman, instead of the seller going directly to the market and sell it, this person goes and buys it at a cheaper price, much less because of the ignorance of the sellers over there, the merchants over there. Then he goes to the market and sells it at the market at the normal price.
Like the people overseas, they don't know the prices in like in America too.
Yes, but they're not coming to America to sell
Okay.
it, so that's different,
Okay.
So that's where that's a little bit different.
Oh, that's the difference.
Yep.
Oh.
If they're coming to America to sell it, then you go before they reach here in America. Say, I buy all these things from you and much less
Okay.
than what it's worth over here, then that's taking advantage of their ignorance.
Oh.
What about Nike Corporation? They go to China and they pay the workers like $1 for a whole one day or a whole week. They
Yeah.
make the shoe for like $2 and they sell it over here
Yes.
for $200-300.
The people, they always complain about that. They say child labor and this and that. But the thing is, they should donate some money to them so the children have some wealth. Now what happens is these children, they work there, they make some money. Now they don't have any money at all. Is that good? So that's very problematic,
The school, the kids should go to school instead of using them for labor. But what I'm saying is that Nike Corporation, $1 billion corporation, and they pay hundreds of millions for Jordan for his shoes. They manufacture those shoes for $2, $3
Yep.
over there, and they bring it here, they sell it for $300.
Yep.
The same shoe.
Yeah.
And they pay those people very, very low wages. So is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine, The thing is that people that complain about that, then what happens is they don't pay the people wages anymore. So the people are out of a job now. They don't make anything at all now. Now what they're gonna do? Now they don't have enough to eat. They don't even have enough to eat. Before they're at least making something. Now they're not having anything at all. And people that complain about the child labor, donate the money there so the kids can go to school, like you said, instead of working. Don't say, "Oh, fire them from their work, from making any money at all."
Okay.
No, inshallah. So it's allowed to manufacture things and sell it at a much greater profit, but it's not allowed to cheat somebody else out of their ignorance. So that's the thing about it. That's not allowed to do that. If somebody, they're ignorant of what the things they go for, and the person they cheat them, that's not appropriate. That's not good to do that. To take advantage of the ignorance of people. That's the issue.
So it's like in Islam is there like a way to value somebody labor, like how much you paid for them, the labor they do for you. Like if somebody work for main like in the house, or somebody who's like taking care of the sheep, how can I like is there a
Minimum wage.
yeah, is there a way like in Islam talk how much I can, because someone who's working in the house and someone
Yes.
who's taking care of the sheep or goat, they cannot be maybe in the same a wage, right? So how can you determine that in Islam? Or is
Normally
it wage?
speaking, a person they try to be good to people, as Allah says, there's a hadith that says in the business, even selling and buying things, if people there are good to the people when they sell to them, and good to people when they buy to them, then Allah makes things good for them. Okay, the same thing if a person they employ somebody, they try to be good to them, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the things good for that person, inshallah, Allah willing, inshallah.
So like there's no set of price, it's just be fair with them basically. Yeah, because in the secular, they say minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
Then some state they pay $7.50, some pay 10,
$15,
some
yeah.
15. It varies. Even in US, right?
Yeah.
The minimum wage varies.
Yes,
See?
yes.
So that's why I was asking this question. How you determine what to give the person if they do a certain labor, like in Islam.
No, usually what happens is, if a person, they don't like how much they're earning from somebody, they can go and work somewhere else. And sometimes people, they do that, people get another job, and they pay better and they have better wages, and then the other person's out, they don't have that person that's working for them anymore. And that's what will happen.
Like the sheikh, like about the child labor thing, like some countries they don't have like
No, what I'm saying is, like, people here in America, they're very rich and very wealthy. All the kids here have everything that they want over here in America. And they say, oh, over there overseas, the kids are working, they make a little bit of money doing sewing and things like that. They shouldn't be doing that. Then what happens over there? They fire all the kids. Now the kids don't have nothing at all. They don't have school, they don't have anything, they don't have any money, they don't have enough to eat.
You sound like Trump.
That's what happens,
Trump is like, "We're doing
So
you a
I'm saying the
favor.
people that complain about it,
We're giving you a job."
they should donate money over there to help the kids over there, not say, not so the kids don't have any money at all now.
No, not about that. Like,
That's my point over there, no?
But like, what I'm trying to say is like this, how you determine what to
Yeah,
give the
what's the
person?
guy taking advantage of the
Yeah.
kids, or they're taking advantage
Yeah,
of
because
the
a lot,
workers?
no, a
The
lot.
workers, they're usually poor and uneducated, they don't know, and the boss, he can exploit them, you know, he
Yeah.
can use
Yeah,
the
what
labor.
you're gonna be is gotta be nice to everybody when you hire people. So that's the point. Try to be good to everybody for it. So, inshallah, Allah willing, inshallah.
So there's a this where it says,
You know, and the worker too, they have a choice too. If they don't like the pay that they get, go, don't work for them. You're not forced to do it, right?
Sometimes they have to feed their family, they have no choice.
Yeah, so that's why you have the zakat, and you pay the zakat to give them. They don't
No,
work
I've
for you,
heard
get it
some
for free.
shuyukh really criticize, like in South Africa, they hire the white people, they hire the black people, or Filipinos, or Middle East, also they treat them really bad. They treat them really bad, they pay them really less money, like slave wages and stuff. I heard some shuyukh criticize them. Why they treat them like that? Why would you ask them that?
Yeah, a lot of people they say things from their feelings. They don't say things from the ilm. So what happens is working for somebody is a contract. The person that hires them, he offers them the money to do the things, and the person that does it, he does it to get that pay. So that's the agreement they have, and that's what they do it. So they both have a choice. The worker wants it, then he can do it. If he doesn't want it, he doesn't have to do it. Same thing with the one that's hiring the person. If he wants, he can hire the person to work to do that. And if he doesn't want to, then he doesn't have to hire the person to do that. No, that's the rules that you have. No,
so
that's the rule that you have.
so basically, Sheikh, you're saying like you offer whatever you you feel like, and then if they accept it,
Right.
they
Yes.
let the contract. They go. You guys
Yes,
go along,
yes.
with it. Even if
Yes,
it's fair or
it's-
not fair.
It's on both sides. The one that's hiring, it's his choice if he wants to pay that much or not. Pay more, pay less, that's his choice. And the one that's doing the work, that's his choice too. If he wants to agree with it or not. So it's both there. Then they come to agreement, and then they do it.
Yeah, makes sense.
وعن النجش وهو أن يزيد في السلعة من لا يريد شراءها.
Yes. No, the thing is, when you have these other laws, it's not based on the rules of Islam and the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's based on people's feelings, It's based on people's feelings that they should make more, so they say, okay, then they should be paid more. So they got to go by the rules from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So like this I heard about like you have to, if somebody do some I don't know exactly, but if somebody do some work for you and you have to give them their
Yes, you give
due
them their
before,
pay.
like their sweat
Their
dry
sweat
or something,
dry.
something
Yes,
like that.
yes.
So in America it's like week or you get paid every 2 weeks. So is that like in Islamic too? We follow that. Should we follow that hadith or we just follow the the
Yeah,
American?
the problem is that what happens, a lot of places people do the work and they never got paid for it, afterwards. And they keep waiting to get paid for it and they never get paid for it. And that's a big problem. That happens in a lot of places. Even here in America, that happens. You hear about somebody works for somebody, didn't pay him 1 week, didn't pay him 2 weeks, didn't pay him 3 weeks, didn't pay him for a month. And then after that, that's it. Never got paid for the work that he did. And that's overseas. That's more prevalent, when that happens. So that's why the hadith is there. A person worked for you. You agreed for the payment. You got to pay him. You can't cheat the person and not pay for his work that he did. And that's why it's encouraged to pay him before his sweat dries. Literally, that's what the hadith says. Not to delay the payment. Otherwise, in the future, something might happen and you never end up paying him. Yeah, so the thing is, in America, what happens is the government is by the people, what people they decide. Most people in America are workers, right? And they want to make more money, so that's why they make the law that you have to pay the workers more, so they make more money. That's the reason that you have there. As far as the Islamic law is, the rule is, the person that's hiring, he can decide how much that he wants to pay, and the person that's doing the work, he can decide whether he wants to do it or not. Then they agree with it, then they do it, and he's got to pay him. That's it. It's not a minimum wage. You don't have that. No, that's there. For the most part, it's not the minimum wage that's there. But the person should not cheat the person. That's the other thing, is that if the person, they don't know like the one that's an outsider, he doesn't know how much the wages are to the person. They underpay him so much, and that's not allowed. Also, that's what
Another
basically the rule
problem,
here.
A lot of them overseas, a lot of places, they don't agree on the price ahead of time. So the worker will come and he'll make him work and they'll negotiate the price afterwards. He'll carry your bags, and then after he brings the bags, then they'll start negotiating.
Oh yeah, it's even much worse than that, man. You know, what they do is they go over there in Africa and say, "Oh, we got work for you on the ship. Come over your ship. We'll give you a nice pay." Then all the black people go on the ship, put them in shackles and chains. Now you're a slave. No, thank you very much for working for us. No. I'm serious, but that's what happened, you know, in the past. You know?
You cruise, you wanna go on a boat cruise?
Subhanallah, no. And that's in America before the Civil War. All black people were slaves, you know. That's what they had. If somebody was of color, they were slaves. That's how they had it. And they had the Civil War. South of America, including Texas, where we are, they said, we got to keep the slaves. The north part of America said, no, we're going to make everybody free. It was a big war, you know, Confederates and what's the other place? The Yankees? No, the Yankees. What's the other side? Confederates and I forgot the other side. Union, okay, Union and Confederates. Okay, so there's a big war that went on. Then Abraham Lincoln, you know, he's the one that finally the war was over, that everybody was free in America, no more slavery, you know, in America. You know, that's what happened. So that was there, even here in America. You know, that was a while ago. Okay, anyway, so I don't want to get sidetracked over here, inshallah. No? So, okay, let me just remember one more thing about it also. So what happens is for the worker, a person, they owe the money to him, and the same thing goes for a loan. If somebody wants to get paid back, it's not good to delay paying the person back. So the same thing with the worker, the person, they owe that money, the work that he did, they should pay him back right away. So not keep delaying it and wait till later to pay it back. So that's the same rule for it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Which one?
Sorry,
Number?
Sheikh, it's 10 o'clock, so I'm gonna leave it.
No, okay, Jazakallah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you.
Recording, so.
You don't want to hear this one? This is very interesting. This is one of the nudges.
Scheming, that is fake buyers who do not want to buy, but to inflate the price.
Okay, good. That's a wala tanajasu. That's mentioned in the hadith. So let me tell you what that is, Brother Omar. What's tanajasu? Let's say that you're selling a car, okay? And you're selling your car. I'm selling my car for 10,000. Somebody comes along and says, "I'll give you 5,000 for it." They say, "No, this car is worth more than 10,000." So then this buyer, he calls his friends, 10 of his friends, and say, "Call up Brother Omar, tell him I'll buy the car from him only for 2,000." So one person calls up, "You have this car? No, I'll give you 2,000 for it." They say, "No." Another person, "I'll give you 2,000. No. Another person, no, 2,000. No. And then the person comes back, "I offer you 5,000. And they say, "Okay, all these other people only give me 2,000. You're giving me 5,000, sir. Take it for 5,000. So that's what it means to not just it's cheating. You know, all those other people, they didn't really want to buy the car. They just wanted to make the person think that it was worth less. That's one way to do it.
Or the other way around.
Yes, they could do the other way also
Raise the
around
price
too.
higher.
Yes, they could do the other way around also. For the seller too, the seller can have his friends. Somebody wants to buy something, then he'll tell his friends,
Yeah.
"Go tell them I have the same thing. I'll sell it to you for 20,000." And the person says, "No, I'm not going to buy it. I don't want to pay 20,000." And the other seller comes, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000. Then you go back to the first one. "I'll sell it to you for 10,000. So okay, all the other people selling for 20,000, so I'll buy it from you for 10,000. So that's what it means. The najish. How do you say najish? Najish. That's the term for it. Tanajish, wala tanajisu. That's scheming, to change the price, without being serious about buying it.
So is this different from inflation?
Inflation is something else. They inflate the price artificially without the market price being up. Inflation is something else. It means that what people they do is they have the currency that they have, and then the currency is not worth as much. So then they call that inflation. Like for example, if you have $5, right? And $5 a long time ago you could buy a whole or like 2 whole chickens for $5. And now you can buy half a chicken for $5. So it's called that inflation. Alhamdulillah. That's what that is. Over here, inflating means like, it means like if you have like a balloon, you inflate it, you make it bigger. So in saying the price, you inflate the price, but not under normal market prices. You make it inflated by cheating, by lying to the seller, or lying to the buyer to inflate the price. That's what that means by inflation, inflating the price. Okay, Jazakallah khair. So I'll tell you about that. That's very interesting.
Most of this we talk about, one way or another is existing now.
Right, yes.
Somebody
Yes, yes. So all these things are haram. That's what the Shaykh mentioned. These are mentioned in the hadith from Prophet Muhammad directly to not to bid on your brother, not to do the inflation, not to scheme to inflate the prices, and not for a resident to sell to an outsider, and all these things are mentioned from the hadith from Rasulullah. It's mentioned. So he's mentioned directly from the hadith from Rasulullah. Amin ya Allah. Jazakallah khair. All right, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Let's go to the next one, number 8.
وعن بيعتين في بيعة.
Yes, not to have 2 sales in one sale. Not to have 2 contracts in one contract. And the example of this, the Sheikh he mentioned, one of the Sheikh Atiyah Muhammad Salim, he says that if a person, let's say he goes to a person and says, I'll cut the tree from you, the wood from the tree, and I'll transport it to a house that's like a mile away. So then the person, for how much? He said, for 10,000. So you have 2 things in one, 2 sales in one. Okay, so then the person, he cuts the tree, then his car breaks down, or his vehicle breaks down. Then he says, okay, you got to give me 9,000. Then the person says, no, you didn't transport it over there. I'm only going to give you 1,000. The transporting is the hard part, not cutting the tree down. So see how the problem that arises when you have 2 contracts in one. So you got to specify each one separately, so that doesn't arise, so a dispute doesn't arise afterwards. So having 2 sales in one is not allowed. 2 contracts in one contract. You have to do each one. You have to specify each one individually, so that so the dispute doesn't happen afterwards. Okay.
What if you have 2 cars and you say, I'll sell you these 2 cars for a certain price? Is that 2 sales in one? Do you have to make each car's price separately, or can you?
Well, you got to make sure that the contract is complete, not be in the middle of it, and then then a problem comes up if it's just one.
I own 2 cars and I want to sell them. So I say 10,000
For both
you
of them.
take both cars for 10,000.
If it's complete,
Specifying,
if it's
without specifying how much for each car, just say take them both.
if it's final afterwards, that's fine. It's final afterwards, because then that's one contract. You're selling 2 cars for one amount.
You can do that.
Yes, you can do that. But if it's not finalized afterwards, then then the problems might arise afterwards. There'll be 2 sales in one sale.
So it has to be like 2 different products.
Yes,
or
if you
2
say-
different,
You say, I'm going to buy your 2 cars now, I'm going to pay for one now, then I'm going to buy the other one later, then that's 2 sales in one, so that's problematic. That's what that means, and not if you buy both of them at the same time. Well, these things are also, there's different reasonings of people that can go with it, but the main thing is to avoid the disputes afterwards. If something happens and then the person has done only one of the 2 things, then what about the other thing? So that's why you avoid those. There's a person, they might be doing one thing very, very cheap, but on the reason that the person is doing the other thing, the second one, and then if a person, they void out the second one, then that's problematic to the person. They've done something too cheap without getting the second one. Okay, so he gives some examples of 2 sales in one. So you read number 9.
وهو أن يكون بعتك هذا ب10 صحاح أو 20 مكسورة.
Yes. Okay, so what happened back in the old days, people used to buy and sell things with coins. They used to have the silver coins, the dirham, and the gold coins, the dinars. And what happened, sometimes the coins that they had were broken, and that's what he's saying. He's saying if a person say, I buy this from you, either with 10 sound coins or 20 broken coins. He said that's not allowed. You have to pick one or the other, not leave it up in the air, either this one or that one. That's two in one. Okay, that's the example the Sheikh he gave.
Okay, next one. Hamza.
أو يقول بعتك هذا على أن تبيعني هذا أو تشتري مني هذا.
Yes, so that's problematic. The person they say that, I'm going to buy this from you. You sell this to me, and then later on you have to buy this from me that I have the other item over here. So he said you can't do that. That's two transactions in one. You got to do each one separately. And then if the other person changes their mind about the second transaction, then the person, they're not going to get upset. Okay, that's the wisdom behind it. So that's like two transactions in one. It's not allowed. And keep in mind that these things here, the reason they're not allowed is to avoid the disputes afterwards. So that's the thing to bear in mind. Because then if a problem happens afterwards where they can't complete the second transaction, then there won't be a dispute between the two parties afterwards. Okay, let's go to number 11.
وقال لا تلقوا السلع حتى يحبط بها الأسواق. And he said, do not sell your goods until reaching the market.
Yes, so that's like we talked about earlier when you have the outsider, when he's coming to the market, he doesn't know what the market price of things are. So that's the rule over here, not to sell it until you reach the market, and then you know what the market price is, and then sell the things at the market price. Okay, one of the things that we say talking about these things here, one of the rules that you have in the fiqh of the business is that you can't have the uncertainty and the ambiguity. And there was a lawyer that came to the masjid a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, and he said the cases that he deals with, it's not that people, they break their contracts. It's not that they don't do something that they're supposed to do in the contract. It's the disagreements that they have. That this person meant one thing and the other person meant the other thing. So it's like the uncertainty that they had. So that's what he deals with in his profession. The disputes that people they have and what the things they mean, because it wasn't certain what the agreement was in the contract. So you see, Islam, it says right there from the beginning, avoid the things that are ambiguous, avoid the things that are uncertain. And when you have two contracts in one contract, two sales in one sale, then that's like ambiguous, on that. So that's a result of it. So that's why that's not allowed. Okay, inshallah, let's go to the next one.
وقال من اشترى طعاما فلا يبيعه حتى يستوفيه.
Yes. So the other thing that Sheikh said, the last point, the person they're selling food, then he should not sell it until he has it, until he has the food. Like somebody has a store, and somebody comes along and says, I want to buy some dates. Oh, I don't have these dates, but I'll sell it to you for $10, for example. Then come back and I'll have it later on. And then later on, the person comes and he has the dates, and what happens to the dates, the price is going up. So it's no longer $10, it's like $50. Now the seller is out, because he sold it for $10 when it was worth $50, So that's the point that he has, not to sell things until you possess it, then sell it. And then the issue comes up, and the person that said, I give you the $10 for it, and he comes back, then the seller says, sorry, I couldn't get these dates over here.
Yeah.
Then the buyer's going to get mad. He said, oh, I needed these dates for a party I'm having. Now what am I going to do? So to avoid these things, so that's why you have these rules here that's mentioned in the books of fiqh, and the Prophet Muhammad said.
What if you're trying to cater some food, and they say it's like $1,000 for 20 trays of food, but they don't have the food yet, but they want you to pay them? Can you do that? Can you pay them before?
Yeah, if it's sure that you're going to get the food, that's the case. The problem is if it's if it's uncertain, if you have uncertainty that you're going to receive it or not. That's a problem, no?
There's a special exception for that called istisna. When you hire a tailor to make a suit for you, or you hire somebody to produce something for you, then in this case there's an exception to the rule because that's how it's been done for centuries. You hire a tailor, you pay them the money ahead of time, but the thing that you're getting built should be known exactly, like every detail of it. This type of cloth, this size, this measure, and everything should be, clear, so you don't have an issue afterwards. So if they're cooking your food,
in the case of the caterer, you're paying them to cook the food for you, right? So that's the issue. If
no, you're paying them for the trays of food.
if the thing is, that might be problematic also if the price changes on what they were going to cook. If they gave you a price for something for like lamb, right? The Eid comes along and the price is going up so much. Then when the time comes for them to give you the food, they say, sorry, the price is going up so much, I had to pay more for this lamb now. Then what's going to happen? There's going to be a dispute. So that's something to watch out for. And that's very likely to happen. When the Eid comes around, everybody buys the lambs, right? So then the price skyrockets. So the person that's a caterer, he might have offered the price, going by the price that it was at that particular time, which was much less. And then when the Eid time comes, then the price tripled or doubled. But now it tells you, oh, I got to pay more for this lamb. It's going to cost you more now.
Right, but it doesn't exist when the time you pay for it. That's what he's trying to say.
The contract is already completed. Like he just has to do his side. It doesn't matter if it costs more. That's his fault.
Yes, I mean that's how a problem can arise unless he has the food in advance. He might end up paying more for it, and he won't have as much of a profit as he expected. So try to avoid these things, inshallah. No? And these things are, the things that Prophet Muhammad SAW mentioned. And the ulama, they say, in different times and places, you have different situations. So the things in the business, the ulama of that time and place, they have to look at the culture and they have to look at the way things they work, and they come up with the rulings based on the things on business and that particular time and situation. And things might be a little bit different.
How these contractors come and they make a contract, I'm going to build this for you, this bathroom, this porch, and almost always, almost 199% of the time, they end up increasing the price or cheating or stealing. I don't even think, is that even correct Islamically? To somebody says, I'm going to build you a porch, and they charge you ahead of time for the full price of the porch, and you don't know how much it's going to cost, how much labor is involved. They just give you an estimate, basically, and then make you pay for it. So is that even valid Islamically to charge somebody before they even start the job?
Yeah, that's where these disputes arise, People, they had the ambiguity and things, and then people, they get into argument afterwards,
Almost invariably.
Right, yes.
Always.
Why? Because they want to increase the price?
They say it took me longer. They say I was building this, it took me longer. I didn't expect this. Your wall was extra. It took me extra time to clean the floor, sand the floor. I had to buy this paint. The paint cost more than I expected. They almost, you could say almost 100% of the time.
Yes. In these things here, you got to look at, who does good service. Maybe look at the reputation, look at other people, they say. And that's really how a person, they increase their business. It's not just one-time contract and they make money. Then the people hate them. They're never going to hire them again. And they'll recommend them to everybody and give them bad reviews, things like that. And he's out of future business. But a person, they do a good job and try to please the customer, and they recommend them, and they get a lot more business, and their business grows. And even the contract could hire other people to work along with them because he got so much more business because people, they like him. So that's a good way to increase the business. Okay, inshallah. And bear in mind that all these things on the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate judge. Ahkamul Hakimin, he's the most just of judges, and he'll give the complete repayment to everybody on the Day of Judgment, on the Yawm al-Qiyamah. All right, inshallah, let's go to question and answer. So, Imam Faisal, do you have any questions or comments on these things that are mentioned here, about the forbidden transactions?
Yeah. What Brother Omar was saying.
disputes
Yes, inshallah.
are usually, I see this a lot in in dealing with buying houses or
Mm-hmm.
renting houses. You find the workers, like, so when you hire a contractor, should you pay them by the hour? Is that more legitimate Islamically? Instead of paying them some random number that you don't know if it's going to be true or not.
All right. Okay, I give you personal advice, but let me talk about the other thing first, Islamically first. The first thing is, the society that you have out there, they're your Muslim brothers and sisters. So when a person, they do contracts, they hire people, when they buy things from people, they sell things to people, they're your Muslim brothers and sisters. And what you want to do is you want to have good for them. You have to be kind to them. You have to be nice to them. So that's the objective. And that's the main reason that you have all these rules in the books of fiqh. So you keep that kindness and conciliation between everybody so that you don't have the disputes and the fights and, and the animosity and the ado between people. That's the main reason behind it. Okay, now when you talk about contractors and paying them, my advice to you is get somebody that will come. Most of the people, they'll say they'll come, and then you don't know if they're going to show up or not. That's my advice, right? That's what you find sometimes. There's some people that are very unreliable. You expect them to do things, and then who knows if they're going to come or not. That's what happens a lot of times. So that's what I would say, inshallah. And and then the other thing is that the people that doing the contracting, they're people like everybody else, and some people are honest people, some people are dishonest people, some people are crooks. So that's the thing to bear in mind. Try to find somebody that's a taqi person that has taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that does the things without cheating and stealing and things like that. That's the thing to bear in mind. And that's the thing to keep in mind, inshallah, for the contractors as well, inshallah. All right, inshallah. Okay, inshallah. Okay, Hamza, did you have any questions or comments on the issues today? We're going to guess his question? Okay, I see. All right, the thing is, interesting thing is when you look at the business market out there, that people, they buy and sell things, some people, they spend extravagantly. They spend a lot of money on things which is really not worth the price that they pay for it. And people that sell the things, they look for people like that. They make a lot of money. Like, for example, the Rolex watches, right? If you have a watch that functions, it's the same thing as a Rolex watch. But people, they pay so much more money for the Rolex watch because it's like so much more, there's obsession with it. And same thing with the cars also. Sometimes people, they spend extravagant amount. The Bentleys, right? Bentleys are so expensive, right? They say, and other things as well. People, they spend, and people that sell the things, they try to look for people like that, look for things to market like that, so they can make a huge, huge profit. That's what they do. Okay, inshallah. Okay, Islamically, what does it say about that? Islamic says, look in the hereafter. These things in the dunya, these are what you call like fireworks. It's like the glamour that's in the dunya. And when you go to a firework, you see a lot of lights and bright lights. When you reach there, you find it's just ashes. It's not really anything of substance. So the same things in things of this world here. It's all these bright lights and glamour and attraction, but in the reality, it's nothing that's there. So what the real life is in the akhirah, the hereafter, which lasts forever, the akhirah, the Jannah. The Jannah person, they'll be there forever and they'll have the great reward. And believe me, they won't be disappointed when they go to the Jannah. They'll be satisfied, you know. So that's the reality. And the things that people that have in this world, it's attraction and glamour, and it's going to be gone because they're going to die. No, so that's the thing to bear in mind, inshallah. Okay, inshallah. All right, inshallah. Say that. So let's stop over here. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk. Wallahu ta'ala alam. If I said anything from the ilm, then go by it and follow it, and just disregard everything that's from myself.